Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to talk about a 92-year-born poet P.B. Shelley. Well, I won't address him P.B. Shelley. In the entire video, I'm gonna call him Victor Shelley. Now the question arises, why Victor Shelley? Because he wrote his first work, original poetry, under the pen name of Victor. So, Victor Shelley. Well, he was a man who was classical educated. He knew Greek and Latin very well. Well, I'll start this video not with his birth year but with his death year. Well, he died in the year 1822. Now, what happened in this year? At the time of his death, he left the poem The Triumph of Life unfinished. Now, look at the irony. He started his career by writing under the pen name of Victor, and his life stopped, his life ended by writing the last work with the title The Triumph of Life. In other words, Victory of Life. In other words, Victor wrote his last work, Victory of Life, and this was left unfinished. Now, what it is all about? It is all about what is life. In this, he mentions what is life. He asks questions. What is life? It is a dream allegory. And classical educated Shelley, a well educated man, in this poem mentions Rousseau, Bonaparte, Plato, and Bacon. And this poem was written in terza rima. So we should remember that his last work was The Triumph of Life, which was written in terza rima. And this poem talks about victory of lover over man, victory of death over chastity, victory of chastity over lover, victory of fame over death, victory of time over fame, and ultimately victory of God over time. In this poem, he used a very beautiful phrase for life, and that was painted veil. And this phrase, the painted veil, was taken up later by Somerset Maugham. So this happened in the year 1822, in the year in which he died. What happened just a year before? That was in the year 1821. Well, he wrote a classical elegy. Victor Shelley, a classical educated man, wrote a classical elegy on Keats. On the death of Keats, he wrote Adonai or Adonis. Now here he laments death of Keats. Not only Keats, but Chatterton, Philip Sidney, and Lucan. All these people died young. Chatterton, Sidney, and Lucan, all these people died young. Now this work was written in Spenserian stanza. And he mentions one more person in this poem who was alive at that time, and that man was Victor Shelley's friend Byron. So he knew how to write in terza rima, he knew how to write in Spenserian stanza. Now in 1821, he also wrote one autobiographical poem in which he was searching for something. He was searching for eternal image of beauty. So it happens to be autobiographical poem, and the name of the poem is Epicyclodion. Now this poem was about a 19-year-old girl, Teresa Viviani. Well, when I read the name, I felt Teresa must be a Christian girl. Viviani sounds like a Sindhi girl. So, jokes apart. So, the name of the girl was Teresa Viviani. and she was imprisoned by her own family in a convent. Now, in this poem, Victor Shelley advocates free love, and he criticizes, he condemns contemporary weddings, contemporary marriage. He calls them very weird, he calls them weirdest and long journey. He doesn't like it. We know what happened in his life. He married 16-year-old girl Harriet Westbrook, and just after a few years, he started dating Mary Shelley. He started dating Mary Shelley when he was already married to Harriet, and this poor woman who was pregnant drowned herself. He said that Harriet Westbrook was not of his mental level. She was below his mental level. He was tired of Harriet Westbrook, and then he started dating Mary Shelley. Okay, so these two women were in his life. As we know, in Coleridge's life also there were two women. I have also mentioned that in my previous video, uh, that Coleridge had two women in his life. One was Sarah Fricker, another was Sarah Hutchinson. Okay, so here uh, in this poem, Epicyclodeon, he advocates free love. Okay, he doesn't like anything which is conventional. This man doesn't like authority. This man doesn't like kings, laws. So he revolts against them. And Mary and Victor Shelley, first time after getting married, they stayed at in a cottage at Marlow. Okay, and not to forget, he has written a very famous pamphlet, The Hermit of Marlow. Shelley is known as Hermit of Marlow. Victor Shelley is known as the Hermit of Marlow also because he wrote a radical pamphlet.